The night was deep and quiet. A group of hunters stood ready. They were outside an old temple, its dark shape rising against the sky. This was Marcus's stronghold. Commander Dillon spoke softly. His voice was firm. He looked at each hunter. Their faces were serious in the dim light. Don stood beside Maya. His eyes were covered, but his other senses were sharp. Maya held her special revolvers. 3 other elite hunters were with them, grim and prepared. Behind them, 10 seasoned hunters waited. They gripped their weapons. Their job was to clear the path. They were brave and ready for battle. Dillon gave a silent signal. The hunters began to move. Their steps were soft on the old stone ground. They moved like shadows, getting closer to the temple's huge door. The door was huge and old. It was made of dark wood and metal. Strange symbols were carved into its surface. This was the way in. Dillon raised his hand. He then brought it down. This was the signal. It was time to break in. With a grunt, the hunters pushed forward. They used special tools. The heavy door groaned loudly. It slowly began to crack open. A cloud of dust burst out. Bits of old wood and stone fell. The door swung inward with a loud crash. A dark opening appeared. The air inside was cold and heavy. It smelled of old dust and something worse. The corridor stretched deep into the temple. It was very dark. Then, a sound came from the shadows. It was a low, deep growl. It made the hairs on their arms stand up. Something was waiting for them. Shapes began to move in the gloom. They were slow at first. Then more appeared. These were the reanimated hunters, Marcus's zombie army. Their eyes glowed red. Commander Dillon yelled loudly. "Seasoned hunters, hold them." He commanded. His voice cut through the air. He needed a clear path for the main group. Without a word, the 10 hunters charged forward. They met the zombie horde head-on. Their weapons flashed in the dark. The sound of battle filled the air. While the seasoned hunters fought, Dillon's main team moved fast. They pushed past the chaos. They had to reach Marcus. There was no time to lose. The sounds of fighting grew weaker behind them. The main team went deeper into the temple. They moved through narrow, winding hallways. The air became heavier. Old torches lit the way. Their flames flickered weakly. They cast strange, dancing shadows on the stone walls. It felt like they were going back in time. The air was thick with dust. It smelled like ancient stone and something else, something dark. The temple felt alive. It felt like evil had seeped into its very stones. Finally, they saw it. Another huge door. This one was even grander. It was covered in deep carvings. This had to be the way to Marcus. A deep growl shook the air. It came from behind the door. It was low and rumbling. This was not a human sound. Suddenly, with a loud crack, the door exploded inward. Splinters of wood flew everywhere. The force of it pushed the hunters back. Standing in the opening was the Serengei. It was huge. Its skin was like rock. Its eyes glowed red with anger. Its large horns almost touched the ceiling. The team quickly got ready. They raised their weapons. They knew this beast was strong. This would be a very hard fight. Then, a loud crash came from above. The ceiling ripped apart. Dust and stone rained down. Something was falling through the roof. Dean fell from the hole. He landed hard between the hunters and the Serengei. He rolled, then quickly stood up. He was ready for action. Dean looked at the huge Serengei. Its red eyes glared at him. He stood tall. He was not afraid. Dean turned his head slightly. "Go," he yelled. "Go! I'll handle this!" He wanted them to focus on Marcus. Commander Dillon paused. He looked at Dean, then at the Serengei. This was a dangerous plan, but Dean looked confident. "Trust me," Dean added, his voice firm. He knew he could do this. He needed them to get to Marcus. Dillon made a quick choice. He nodded to Dean. He trusted him. Their mission was more important than one fight. Go. 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 Dillon yelled to his team. They had to move. They rushed past Dean, heading into the chamber beyond the Serengei. Don, Maya, and the 3 elite hunters ran past. They went through the open doorway. They were going to face Marcus directly. The fate of the world rested on them. Behind them, the heavy door slammed shut with a loud boom. Dean was now truly alone. He turned to face the Serengei. This was his fight. In the cut, the Serengei let out a mighty roar. Its huge body lunged forward. It charged at Dean, ready to crush him. The ground shook with its power. Dean moved fast. He dodged out of the way. He was a blur of motion. The Serengei missed him by inches. It was a close call. His bracelet, the Buntot Pagi, glowed. It changed shape. In a flash, it became a long, sharp blade. It was ready for battle. Dean leaped forward. He slashed at the Serengei's leg. The blade hit its rocky skin. Sparks flew, but the beast hardly flinched. The Serengei bellowed. It tried to stomp Dean with its huge foot. The ground cracked where its foot landed. Dean had rolled away just in time. Dean's arm tattoo glowed. A ghostly wolf appeared beside him. It was a spirit familiar. It snarled, ready to fight. The wolf leaped at the Serengei. It sank its ghostly teeth into the beast's leg. The Serengei roared in pain. This was working. The Serengei roared louder. It swung its massive arm. It hit the wolf hard. The spectral wolf cried out. It faded a little, thrown back. Dean quickly drank a potion. He felt a rush of energy. He moved even faster now. He was like a blur, too quick for the beast. Dean ran circles around the huge Serengei. He found a weak spot. He slashed at its back with his blade. The metal clanged loudly. The Serengei spun around fast. It tried to hit Dean with its horns. The sharp horns missed Dean's head by just an inch. He was lucky. Dean jumped high. He landed on the Serengei's back. He held on tight. He wanted to reach its neck. The Serengei bucked like a wild horse. It shook its body hard. Dean lost his grip. He was thrown off, crashing into a wall. Dean pushed himself up. His body ached, but he couldn't stop now. He glared at the Serengei. He had to keep fighting. Another tattoo on Dean's arm glowed. A fiery bird burst out. It was the Minokawa, a spirit of fire. It flew high above the beast. The Minokawa dove down. It shot fireballs at the Serengei's face. The flames hit its eyes. The beast roared in pain, blinded. Blinded, the Serengei stumbled. It shook its huge head from side to side. It couldn't see Dean. This was Dean's chance. Dean saw the opening. He knew what to do. His blade glowed. He would aim for its weak spot, the joint in its neck. This would be the end. Dean jumped with all his might. He aimed his glowing blade. He wanted to end this battle now. He flew towards the beast's neck. The Serengei swung its arm again. It was a wild, desperate move. But Dean was too fast. He ducked under the attack. Dean landed his blow. He slashed deep into the Serengei's neck. The blade cut through its tough skin. Dark blood gushed out. The Serengei let out a horrible scream. It was a cry of death. It was loud and filled with pain. The sound echoed through the chamber. The massive beast stumbled. It fell to one knee. Its body shook. Its power was fading fast. The Minokawa swooped down again, burning the beast. The spectral wolf reappeared, biting its leg. They worked together. They pushed it closer to death. Dean pushed his blade deeper. It glowed with his power. The Serengei struggled for a moment. Then it went still. The fight was over. The Serengei's huge body fell forward. It hit the ground with a mighty crash. The whole temple shook. Dust rose into the air. Silence fell once more. The only sound was Dean's heavy breathing. He stood over the fallen beast. He was tired but alive. Then a strange light began to rise from the Serengei. It was faint and glowing. It floated upwards. It was the beast's essence. The light swirled around Dean. It spun faster and faster. Then it shot into his arm. It felt warm and powerful. On Dean's skin, a new tattoo appeared. It looked like the head of the Serengei. It glowed for a moment. He had absorbed its power. It was now his familiar. A surge of new power filled Dean. He felt stronger than before. He was still tired, but the victory filled him with new strength. The beast's power was now his. Dean turned towards the large door. This was the one the others had gone through. This was where Marcus was. The final showdown awaited him. He pushed the door. It was heavy. It opened slowly. A long, low creaking sound filled the air. What would he find inside? Dean stepped into the chamber. It was huge. A strange, dim light filled the room. It felt cold and eerie. The air itself felt wrong. A terrible smell hit him. It was metallic and strong. It smelled like blood. Dean's stomach twisted. Something awful had happened here. Dean's eyes went to the center of the room. Marcus stood there. He was changed. He was no longer just human. He was something demonic. Marcus stood tall. He had a cruel smile on his face. In his hand, he held something. Dean's eyes widened in horror. It was a head. It was Commander Dillon's head. His face was pale and still. Dean felt a cold dread spread through him. Dillon was dead. Marcus chuckled softly. The sound was chilling. He enjoyed Dean's shock. He was proud of his cruelty. Dean's eyes moved from Marcus. He looked around the large chamber. What he saw next made his blood run cold. It was even worse. On one wall, his brother Don was pinned. He was held fast by spikes of dark energy. Don's eyes were closed. He was alive, but barely. On another wall, Maya was also pinned. Dark spikes held her in place. Her head hung low. Dean felt a surge of fury. The 3 elite hunters were there too. They were crucified just like Dawn and Maya. Their bodies hung limp. Marcus had caught them all. Spikes of dark energy glowed. They pinned the hunters to the stone walls. The energy held them tight. It kept them from moving. Behind Marcus, a huge vortex spun. It was a whirlwind of dark energy. It glowed with an angry red light. This was Marcus's ritual. And within the vortex, something truly terrifying happened. A rip appeared. It grew wider and wider. Hell's Gate was tearing open. Marcus looked at Dean. His cruel smile grew even wider. He had won. He had brought his plan to this awful end. Then, Marcus dropped Commander Dillon's head. It fell to the stone floor. It hit with a sickening thud. The sound echoed in the silent chamber. Dean stared. He was frozen in place. The horror of it all filled him. His allies were dying. Hell was opening. And Marcus smiled. Behind Marcus, the Hell Gate roared. It was a hungry, angry sound. It was ready to fully open. Dean knew he had to act. He had to stop this.
Shadows creep where the old truths sleep. City lights blur what secrets stir. From a lagging streets to the city's heart, a row hunter's feet playing a dangerous part. 15 years since the cleansing scar. Now the veil's thin, not far, not far. Monsters crawl beyond the wall. He's hunting them down, gonna make them fall.